everybody, it's your online singing coach back today with a new reaction to one of our favorites, Dimash, who will be singing Ave Maria at the New Wave 2021. This song, I'm not sure which version he's doing, Gounod or Schubert, but either one is a beautiful, fantastic, standard, classical songs, which really allow the singer's voice to soar and shine. And we already know that Dimash's voice is exceptional, so I expect some exceptional soaring and shining on this song. Okay, Dimash, wow me again. Already on stage. Cool intro. Really digging that intro. Lots of tension being built here. Very nice. That might happen. Again, so unexpected, even though I know Dimash now. So he still manages to surprise me, which is awesome. So it clearly wasn't the Gounod or the Schubert version of Ave Maria. It was a version I hadn't heard before. What it still had in common with those classical songs is that it had a very singer-friendly melody that just still allows that voice to shine. And this melody continued to have that same pattern where right in the middle there'd be a high moment and then back down. Every phrase had that, and I felt myself starting to anticipate every one of those, like I was on a ride at Disneyland or something, and it's like, here comes the next hill, woo! Here comes the next hill, woo! Every time. Every time he hit this, it's like, oh yes, here comes another one. I started like anticipating it and wanting it, and he never let me down. What was really cool about this song too, yes, the range started to go up and up and up. This song never went down into his full voice. It stayed up in his head voice the whole time and up into the whistle range a bit at the end. The ending was so cool with that little whistle note, and we know he could have gone higher, but that was enough. And then that last note, which he sang forever, it's super high, he sang it forever, he did a crescendo and a decrescendo, so that last moment was magical. I also loved the arrangement because we had that mysterious kind of introduction. Then the instruments cut out and Dimash started to just sing a cappella. Again, that's always a little nerve-wracking, but not for Dimash. He's like, no problem. He sounded perfect. Then the instruments came back in, the choir supported him. So this was a very, very dramatic performance, yet his vocal was controlled. I definitely need to see that ending again. And of course, I just want to point out a couple things that he does so well. So let's go back to the beginning and check it out. He's using a couple different angles, those steps back. Now he's stepping forward again. So there's something to watch about him rather than just waiting to sing. Even right here, he opens his lips, you think, okay, it's about to start, but there's still more waiting, still more building. Finally, here he goes. So I'm going to pause right after that first section. Pitch perfect, of course. Wouldn't expect anything less from Dimash. But aside from that, that gentle, soft, airy tone throughout. Now it's harder to maintain these longer phrases on a breathy tone. An extra challenge there. And he just controlled it so well. He has such good control of his voice. And it was just that sweet spot, just that right amount of breathiness to make it soft and intimate and to bring you in closer to him without sounding weak. So loved that. That's already when I start waiting for that high note. Very angelic tone here. Beautiful growth there. pausing here. So during that section too, again, these high notes could actually pop out too hard, and he's just being careful to give it a little bit of a lift there, because otherwise it is a little jarring. It would be too much, but this is just a little lift there. Another thing I like is the way this repeated word over and over, same word, that he gives it dimension in a couple ways. For example, the way he slid down on one of those. That little slide there, glissando or whatever you want to call it. So beautiful. Another thing he did was just little movements with his arms or with his face. Here he had, it was like a little lift with his, just a little lift with his hands. And I feel like the audience felt it. I sure felt it when he like lifted his hands. I'm like, yes, there's the lift in the melody. Just gorgeous. A little bit bigger here. Why not? We're building the song. I like that. There's that glissando again. Pause right there before our biggest moment of the song, because I just need to check and see if he did a little technique hand gesture. Let's just see. I always love to point this out if he did. I always tell my singers there's 3 ways you can use your hands, your arms, your body in a performance. We've got our emotion hands, which is mostly what he's doing. We've got our rhythm hands, where you might be clapping or tapping along or something like that to the beat. That's not really appropriate in this song because it's a very slow ballad. And then the last option is your technique hand, which a lot of people do to help themselves get onto a certain note or a certain pattern of notes. So I feel like there might have been a little bit of a technique hand when he was going really soft for that high note. I feel like this gesture might have been helping him contain how strong that note was going to be. Yeah, did you see that? Did you see how he pulled it back and then pushed it forward? That's exactly what his voice was doing. I always like to point it out to my singers, because this is ways that your body expresses the music and works with your voice. Now back to where we were. Pause for a second. 2 things to watch for here. That little jump that he did as he got really into the peak of this song, the highest moment, the highest notes. He kind of geared himself up for that. Not in terms of needing to with his voice. This is an easy song for him. But in terms of the emotional intensity, he gave that little jump. So we're going to look for that. And then the other thing was just, I do point this out anytime I watch a Dimash video, because this is just something my singers need to really hone in on, which is his mouth shape. These high, big notes, he's getting such a beautiful tone out of it because he's not holding on to any tension in his mouth, his jaw, his tongue. His tongue is flat, his mouth is open vertically, just the way it should be for these kinds of notes. Just watch again carefully. There it was. growth. And it goes back. Still holding it. Beautiful. Beautiful ending.
Димаш Кудайберген
Кудайберген.
и Игорь Крутой.
Like to see him getting his flowers.
Браво!
Просто мурашки по коже.
Kudaibergen. I was try to get my pronunciation right. Dimash Kudaibergen. How is that? Thank you, Dimash, for another stunning performance. It just had so much control, so much technique, so much passion with just that repeated. I mean, I didn't even hear an Ave Maria, come to think of it. All I heard was ah the whole time. He made it interesting and dynamic and engaging and emotional. Just ah. How great of a lesson is that for singers and for performers? You can do so much with just ah. And this is the proof right here. This is a must watch for my singers, okay? So check it out. Thank you so much for watching with me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit subscribe and let me know which other songs are the must-sees for Dimash. We're gonna keep that journey going. Thanks so much and see you next time. Yo, SC, you're on